When it comes to the usually dull topic of property prices, 2022 was an edge-of-the-seat thrill ride, as demonstrated by this local homeowner. What's happening is that after starting the year with record high property prices, much of the country then saw the fastest quarterly decline on record, house prices falling 4.9% in the capitals, while renters saw costs climb by as much as 16% as vacancy rates plummeted. So what nonsense does 2023 have in store for us?
If you're looking to buy a house in 2023, it's probably going to be a good time. There's going to be less competition. People are worried about the cost of living and high interest rates. So less competition means your ability to buy is actually going to be improved.
But a lot is going to depend on what happens next with interest rates, particularly in the wake of 8 consecutive rate rises, making them the highest in a decade.
The Reserve Bank is trying to stop runaway inflation, and the only lever they've got is to raise those interest rates. So it's a pretty safe bet that interest rates are going to keep rising in 2023 until they hit a kind of peak and probably decline.
But don't bet the house on Reserve Bank predictions just yet. After the RBA told everyone rates would stay low into 2024, the only low in sight was Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe, who issued this apology.
I'm certainly sorry if people listened to what we'd said and then acted on that, what we'd said, and now regret what they had done.
The biggest cost of living is housing, and it's just spiralled out of control in recent decades. In the early 90s, you could buy a house at 4 times the average income. Now it's more like 8 or 10 times.
And for those in the rental market, things are looking particularly grim.
The increases in interest rates we've seen will mean that rents go up. Not only that, the government's suggestions about possible caps isn't going to help. It's going to push more housing towards things like Airbnb, and less housing to rent means higher rents for you.
So with these dire forecasts, what should we be doing?
Well, what we should be doing right now is speaking to Eliza Owen, Head of Residential Research Australia at CoreLogic. She joins us now. Eliza, just who has done it the toughest this year, and is there going to be any hope for them in 2023?
Yeah, well, I think broadly from a high inflationary perspective, it's low-income households that do it toughest because they're spending more of their money on necessities like food, fuel and rents, and that's obviously where we've seen a lot of price increases. From a housing perspective, we've seen rental growth re-accelerate. So we've hit a new record high for annual rent growth in terms of the value of rents at 10.2%. So no doubt anyone who's been renewing a lease or trying to find a new rental has had a bit of a nasty shock as well.
I'm interested in the people who haven't yet been effective but are going to be in a really serious way because of that cliff. They've been on fixed interest rates and that's about to run out, and now they're about to get a bit of a shock. What effect would that have, do you think, on house prices?
Yeah, so through the pandemic period, we saw an unusual kind of ballooning in the amount of borrowing on fixed rate terms. So CoreLogic has done analysis with Aussie home loans on this to see how much those monthly mortgage repayments could increase. Nationally, we predict that it would be around $1,300 a month in terms of the increase in mortgage payments. And in more expensive markets, it could be as high as $2,000 a month. So people who have not yet experienced the very sharp rate rise that we've been going through, there could be a bit of a nasty sticker shock that comes through 2023.
If that happens and landlords have to sell at lower prices and then house prices go down, is it possible that that flows on then to renters and then rents might go down as well? He asks very hopefully.
So I think one of the things that we might see next year is people using property as an investment to potentially cope with higher rental costs. So things like looking to rent out a room or converting an owner-occupied property to a rental if they can, if they have somewhere to go. These are things that could loosen up the rental market a little bit. I think what's more likely is that we're going to have to see more of a demand-driven shift from tenants. For example, the reformation of share housing where people can, moving back in with mum and dad where people can, and potentially just moving to a more affordable market altogether.
While we have you, though, I'd like to ask you about another area where you have a lot of expertise, and that is Tom Cashman as a university student. I understand you went to university together. We all want to know what he was like.
Be careful.
He was really funny. So Tom and I, from memory, we were in a stand-up competition together. Believe it or not, I didn't win, but Tom did.
What?
So I think that really speaks to the trajectory of our careers.
Eliza, did Tom Cashman put you in as a plant? Did he just want it known that he was the champion at universities? That's what's going on here?
Yeah, that's it. I'm expecting my cheque in the mail, so it'll go towards my rent.
Yeah.
You can see why I'm not a comic.
No, I thought that was excellent.
That's very good. Eliza, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me. Take care.